other. Okay, I'm just pushing record. There we go. Okay, so I have a very beautiful transmission for you guys today to share with you guys a deepening of what we discussed last week in Brand Alchemy Week 1, which was really about beginning to foster a really safe, trusting, loving relationship with our business and honoring our greens in our business, understanding that essentially the value exchange is an expansion in greens, which is energy. And that if your own cup is not filled first, you're diminishing that value exchange. So the fundamental role of your business is, in essence, to exchange value with you first and foremost, because when you have your cup filled, you bring so much value to others. And we did that by starting to look at what that looks like to honor the greens in our business. And we'll continue this discussion today. And we also explored redefining growth. So shifting how we're benchmarking ourselves, especially if it's based off external conditions like money, validation of people engaging or commenting or sharing on the things that we're doing, our email list, because inherently what we do when we set these external conditions as benchmarks over ourselves, we disconnect ourselves from our greens, which is the inherent value of everything we do, which is the secret to money. So we're disconnecting ourselves from it, even though that's the benchmark, that's the target, that's what we want. So funny story, after last week's workshop, here I was on this workshop telling you guys about how I started to honor the greens in terms of how I was posting on my social media account and experiencing growth on Instagram and much higher views than I was used to in my account. And as soon as I shared that with you guys, I slipped into using views as a fucking benchmark for a condition of success. It was like I declared it to the world, you know? And I was like, fuck, okay, I better get more views up. This became a benchmark for my reason for showing up and posting on Instagram. And do you know what happened? I completely lost my flow with it. I just stopped posting. Well, it just really dwindled down, and I got really confused about it. And I share this with you guys because I want you to understand it's so easy. It's so easy to create benchmarks over ourselves, and it's so easy to just step into it, you know, where you don't even realize you've done that to yourself. So what I did is, and an example of honoring our greens in our business was I understood I was disconnecting from my flow. I could just feel it. Like I just felt, oh, like I need to post something now. I need to get views up. This is why I'm posting. This is why I'm showing up. So an example of honoring our greens and fostering a safe relationship with our business is I gave myself permission to disconnect from posting, and I didn't create narratives around my ability to succeed or what this would mean for anything in my business or myself or my life. And in disconnecting, I was able to redefine what the growth was, which I'll talk about a bit later as well. So sometimes it's really difficult to see the conditions that we're holding in our business, the external benchmarks, because it's so easy to create them. It's so easy to step into them. And when that is the case, a good place to look at is usually where things are feeling chaotic in your business. Because catalyst is a perfect way for us to become perceptive to it, to these conditions existing. So I'll give you guys an example of this. I started to shift a lot of what I'm doing in my business towards book sales. I've published 2 books now, and I have these incredible marketing skills that I picked up from my last business. It's like the perfect marriage, you know? And I started to run ads for magic source codes and money magic, and they were tracking and they were getting sales, and they were even positive front end, these ads, which is really rare for a book because it's like a low ticket item. And then, but what was happening was like, I would get 4 to 5 orders per day, book order, hardcover orders, so that I would have to sign them and fulfill them here in New Zealand. And don't get me wrong, like in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. This is freaking amazing. I need to let some people in. I'm so sorry, guys. There's been a power cut where I am, and I am the only one adminning this call right now. I don't know how to get back to it. There we go. Sorry. Does anyone know how to add people? Okay. There we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. I'll just keep this window open. I won't see your faces for a minute, but then I won't have to interrupt. So I was so grateful about these orders in the beginning because I was like, oh my God, this is like such validation. Thank you. Thank you. More, please. Yes, please. This is what I want. But I also started to encounter some resistance around having to fulfill all those book shipments every day. It wasn't exactly what I envisioned for myself. And what I envisioned for myself, my big vision for myself, is to eventually get to a stage where my book sales fully replace all of my income. And so that requires scale, right? I got to publish more books or sell more books or get more customers. It's scale at one level. And there was this resistance that I was encountering over having to fulfill these books. And so if I had scaled, or if I had managed to achieve the bigger vision in my business, which would have been to have, you know, all of these sales coming in every month, thousands and thousands of hard copies being shipped, I would have landed myself in a position that was actually contrary to one of my ultimate values, which is freedom, right? Creative time, space freedom. So I wasn't ready to receive that. And what was happening to show me that there was something in my business that was not allowing me to scale at the levels that it was capable of actually manifested itself in a way as a form of chaos, because I wasn't inherently aware, consciously aware, that there was resistance there. I could feel emotionally like I was procrastinating doing the orders. I was, you know, doing it like last minute, late at night, and I could sense that resistance, but I wasn't consciously fully aware of it. But what started to happen, however, is the ads started to change, and I experienced chaos in the ads. So they started to no longer be profitable. They were at break even. But at break even, me doing all these books and sending all these copies was just beginning to make me question the entire direction of my business, basically, the entire direction of my vision. Am I even going to write books? This is so complicated. I don't know. And so it was chaos that kind of like brought me to a crossroad where I was able to, you know what, I'll be honest, I wasn't even consciously setting the intention, because at that stage, I wasn't even consciously aware of this resistance showing up, but it was chaos ultimately that brought me to that realization. And not long after, I started to see ads. Well, I came across an ad on Facebook, and it was for a print and direct store. So I sort of like backed away from the whole thing. There was just so much chaos. I stopped the ads, I paused everything. It was like, okay, we're just in a space of reimagining here. What is it going to look like going forward? And I get shown an ad for a print on demand service for a company called Lulu, where they basically do what Amazon does. They print everything on the demand, it's sent straight to the customer, they handle fulfillment, tracking, emails, and all of that stuff. Perfect. So essentially, I was able to receive and solve for something that was preventing me from achieving the type of growth that would ultimately contradict what I desired for myself, an expansion of greens. And we're always doing this in small ways in our business. And it is chaos that brings us to those crossroads and helps us to reimagine the way forward in our business. So this is why it's very wobbly to start measuring ourselves on external conditions and also creating narratives around chaos and what that means for us. Because when we are comparing ourselves on external benchmarks and we're seeing past failures or things that we're perceiving as failures happening in our business, we're actually missing the fact that chaos is a sort of metamorphosis. It's helping you to pivot. Now, the reason, and going back to like redefining growth, with my Instagram account, what happened last week when I started to become fixated on views and the number of people watching my videos, for me, stepping back in the business and recalibrating and redefining growth looked something more like, okay, if I'm not going to define growth on the numbers, what is something else that is positive about this scenario or this channel? And one of the things that I came to realize was that more than anything, the recent content I've posted has shown me that I don't need to have my face on social media, which is something that I thought was really necessary for a long time. And I had a lot of resistance around it. I don't like always, I talked about this last week, right? So that is a massive, massive growth, but it's not represented necessarily in terms of sales or comments. That's for sure. It wasn't represented in comments, which I was measuring myself on. It wasn't represented on a lot of the benchmarks that I would normally use to say whether or not something was working. So it's hard for you to pick up on the shifts happening in your business, and it's hard for you to sometimes pick up where you have the conditions existing that are preventing you from receiving at the next level, a bigger level. And we can minimize the chaos by becoming more aware of our own emotional guidance, paying more attention to this, and also through daily reimagining of what that looks like for ourselves, like daily going there, especially if we're feeling stagnant, unfulfilled, frustrated, hopeless right now, overwhelmed, anxious in our business, and especially if we've been sustaining those states for a minute in our business. We should especially be going back to reimagining what the business could look like on a daily basis, because the things you're telling yourself are necessary can always be reimagined. And when you are not honoring the things that are compelling to you, that feel good to you, it's not going to be scalable at any level. If you're showing up for the money or external validation, you're kind of showing up with half in, half out energy, right? Well, I'll run this webinar so long as people show up, you know? I'll make this offer so long as people buy. I'll be a coach so long as I get this many clients. I'll do an e-commerce store so long as it does this, right? When we create because of or for external conditions in this way, always, ultimately, we disconnect ourselves from our greens, and we are in this half in, half out space, because if those things don't happen, you're out. When I saw the ad for Lulu, the print on demand service, and I clicked on it and I received the information, and it meant I was going to have to launch a whole fucking Shopify website. There's been so many challenges with shifting the pixel, the domain name, all of these things. I have to upload all the books and get them redesigned because it's totally different specs. But I'm taking those steps and I'm moving forward with it, despite the challenges, despite the chaos. That is all in energy. And it's not to say that because the chaos itself is a gift that helps us to develop the skills and aptitudes needed to receive that which we're trying to get to. And sometimes you cannot foster all in energy for something. You've come at a place with something that you're creating or doing, and you have no more energy left to give. You cannot be asked continuing to overstep the challenges or the chaos. This is the place where you, again, get to date yourself and reimagine what that looks like for you, what that would look like for you, what would feel compelling, what would feel creatively inspiring. If you're going to show up with half in, half out energy in your business, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I don't know if this is going to work. What do you think that's going to do to the value exchange? What are customers and clients going to pick up on, right? Half in, half out. It's not going to work because it wouldn't work in a relationship with a partner or a spouse. You got to be in with whatever you're doing. If you're not in, you shouldn't be doing it. You should reimagine how that thing is going to be done. It's one of the things that I've learned to be one of the greatest impact to magnetism through the years and running my businesses has been every time that I am showing up because I need comments, or I need shares, or I need people to sign up, or I need sales. Ironically, it doesn't work. It's the moment that I'm showing up because it feels fucking great to do what I'm doing. It's the moment that I'm showing up with all in energy, like there's 2 people on the webinar and I'm still rocking up as if there's 1,000. Those are always the moments where I experience huge revenue growth, huge magnetism, things that just don't make sense. Like, I remember I only had a sales team for a few short months in Flow Protocols when I launched it. And Hannah was the girl hooked onto the calendar. She was amazing. But I decided sales was just not for me, having a sales team. And so we wrapped that up, and we were a year on still getting people finding the link, booking in, had no idea how it was happening. Like, that's what happens when you tap into that vein of magnetism. And it is truly a reflection of you and your own integrity with the relationship that you hold with your business. When you become a slave to your business, you degrade that value exchange. It's the opposite of magnetism. It's a repulsion. When you yourself set the precedence and embody the greens, the value with your business, first and foremost, you become so magnetic. So are you in with what you're doing? Are you actually in? Are you half in, half out? If you're half in, half out, that's why it's not working. All in energy doesn't mean you don't get to be multi-passionate, have lots of ideas, a million tabs open, shiny object syndrome, ADHD brain inclined. It doesn't mean any of those things. Just gonna mute somebody. You get to actually, that is your superpower. You get to have lots of ideas, lots of passions. You get to pivot, you get to move, you get to change, you get to grow, you get to transform. Of course, those are all givens. No questions fucking asked. But when you're applying yourself to what you're doing, go all in, right? If you're contemplating a plan B in a relationship with a partner or spouse, and in the back of your mind, you got a plan B, how is that relationship going to end or going to fare, right? It's certainly not going to be as vibrant and healthy and nurturing as it potentially could be, right? And it's the same with the relationship that you have with your business. If you cannot foster all in energy for the shit that you're doing, reimagine it, step back. If you're finding resistance in sales or things are there's chaos showing up in certain areas, like again, reimagine how you're doing things there. You get to approach your business in a way that feels really fucking good to you and that really honors you and who you are and the cadence at which you like to create. But you have to set, you have to be the one that sets that in motion. You're the one that your business reflects, right? It's an expression of you. So, and if we cannot foster all in energy, that's also okay, by the way. You're going to go through phases where you don't have all in energy for anything. And if you look at like growth, and especially, you know, with insects or things that shed their skin, which is essentially what's happening when you're growing, transforming, you're shedding beliefs, perspectives, it's like a skin, right? There is a stillness required in that moment. The body is shut down, essentially, the physical body. It's okay if you're going through periods right now where you have no physical energy. That is also indicative of transformation and big shifts. And going back to honoring our greens with our relationship, the most important thing here is not to then chastise yourself and go, fuck, I need all in energy. I don't know what all in energy, what is compelling to me to give all in energy to. I don't know what the solution would be. Like, give yourself grace, you know? You're not always going to be connected to that energy. Certainly, what I've learned through the years is that I've touched it so many times. It's not something I'm in all the time. So there's moments where I definitely fall out of that energy, but I'm better at intentionally placing myself and creating the conditions necessary to tune into that energy. But I definitely have writer's blocks. I definitely have moments where things are like, I don't know. And that's okay, because those things precede growth. But if you go to war with that cycle of growth, right? It's like going to war with a menstrual cycle. Any other cycle. It doesn't make sense. And it's just going to be wasted energy that could be better used elsewhere for sure. So that's okay too. So basically ask yourself, whatever you're creating in your business, what you're doing in your business, like, is it compelling to you? Are you actually showing up for this shit because you like doing this stuff? Or are you doing it because you think it's what's necessary? Are you coercing yourself? Are you forcing yourself? This is a great time to begin to reevaluate what we're doing in there. If it's not all in energy, we're degrading the magnetism ultimately. So we should reimagine that. If you're thinking of giving up, or you're feeling confused, or you're frustrated, ask yourself, are you thinking of giving up because you're using likes, sales, comments as the benchmark for your success? Do you genuinely still like creating what you're creating, right? Again, another great place to reevaluate how we're defining growth, what we're measuring ourselves on, and shifting that relationship with our business. So this week, what I would like you guys to do, I'm going to go back to video so you can see your faces. Oh my God, my costume is ridiculous, guys. This horrible. Okay, this is going to go down on the books forever because it's recorded as well. This Halloween random costume edition of brand Alchemy. So last week with your eggs, I asked you guys to put a thumbtack every time you were able to perceive growth showing up in small ways in your business. Now, I want to be very clear here. I should have said this last week. The purpose of rituals, and the reason why I'm encouraging you to engage in a ritual, especially a tactile one, is because they are known to send us into flow states, which is a state of gnosis, an autotelic state. And when we set intentions from this space, we're essentially doing it from a space of the subconscious, which controls 95% of our behaviors and decisions. So the only purpose of the ritual is to create a sort of self-enchantment, if you will. Because of this, there's no rules. Like, there's no, like, it has to be thumbtacks in a dragon egg shaped this way. Oh, something very strange in my house happened. Otherwise, it's not going to work. The spirits that be, the universe will reject your intention. It's not like that, okay? You actually can do it any way that feels in the least resistance to you. So if you're traveling right now and you cannot carry a bloody egg with thumbtacks everywhere, or you have small children running everywhere all the time, like, reimagine how you do this. It could just be you write it down at night in a journal. That counts too. But if you can do it in a way that involves like a tactile element, it does enhance the enchantment for sure. So this week, what I want you to do for the next 7 days is I want you to add a thumbtack, or write it down on your list, or maybe keep doing the frequency currency if you enjoyed that, whatever. Do the ritual how you please, but every day I want you guys to, again, add thumbtacks to your dragon egg every time you could say that you showed up in all-in energy in your business, or that you shifted back or held away when things were not all in energy, because that is also a huge, like, a huge growth, and that is also a huge thing to celebrate. The moments where we catch ourselves doing things in our business where we're in direct resistance to it, guiding ourselves through our own emotions, our own space of well-being, and really checking in with ourselves. Should I stop here? Is this fear that I need to push through? That is a huge win. So anytime you do that, the more you show up in your business in this way, and you foster this kind of relationship with your business, I promise you, you're going to start to experience things that you're going to connect to ideas. Things are going to change very fast. That's been my experience of hitting the nerve of magnetism. It's growth that just comes out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense on paper. It defies everything we're told about what is required for growth. And to achieve that, we have to defy everything we are telling ourselves is required for growth. Isn't that funny? Yeah. The micro mimics the macro and vice versa. So thank you so much. Do we have any questions, by the way, if anyone would like? Oh, I'm just seeing your chat. Oh, yes. Feeling this power. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Is that costume? Yeah. Look, I don't know. It's the only thing around. Okay, well, yes, spend time reimagining, like reimagining. And if you cannot find the energy, if you cannot find the vision, if you do not know how to reimagine it, you just set the intention to be like guided and shown and supported, and it will happen. That ad that showed up on Facebook, it was like magic, serendipitous. Of course, like it's easy to miss this shit, right? But you pay attention to all those moments happening around you, and you are always guiding yourself. You're always helping yourself towards that which you desire for yourself, those expansion of greens. But we gotta guide ourselves. Like we gotta guide ourselves. We gotta honor that embodiment of it through our physical bodies, right? And it starts by honoring how we're showing up in our business. Are we in? Are we out? If we're out, if we have half-ass energy, promise you, don't bother posting on social media. It's not gonna work. I've tried that one so many times, you know? Just step back. You're connecting to something else. You're shedding a belief, a paradigm, some skin. It's okay. The clarity will come. You'll reconnect. If you're not all in, don't even bother. You bring all in energy in even just small ways in your business, minus a whole bunch of a whole bunch of activities that you're doing, but only a fraction of those are all in. And I promise you, you'll experience faster results and growth. It will increase productivity. It will defy everything you think is needed, right? To experience that growth. And it starts with your energy. So we start that way, small ways. Can you speak more about resistance and all in energy? Yeah, so sometimes we can encounter resistance that is actually fear. And the opposite of fear is courage and play. It's a really, really high alchemy state, and it's a huge portal of growth for us. And so when we face those crossroads where we're catching ourselves in resistance, maybe it's fear, maybe it's procrastination, maybe it's confusion, asking yourself, okay, if I do this thing that I'm trying to do right now, whatever that might be, would I feel energized? Would I feel better for it having done it, or will I feel depleted of my energy? Will it exhaust me doing it, right? And that's usually a good litmus test to let us know whether that red that we're facing, that resistance, is actually something that we should foster courage and, transmute essentially. Like gauge it that way or test it that way. And that's okay. Like you'll still be guided. You'll still be supported, even if your rational mind isn't figuring things out. The point is things are still in motion. Even if you haven't rationally picked up on that, things are still in motion. They're happening. So you'll still be guided towards that clarity if it is something that you need to transmute, or if it is something that you're barking up the wrong tree. But I will say, if you're encountering a lot of chaos and emotional resistance towards an area of your business, maybe it's an offer or a specific product, or maybe it's a team, or anything in general, right? That is usually a great place to look at, to then go, okay, like, if what am I doing in these things, and is this all in energy? Am I actually like doing this because I like doing this? As in I would fucking do this even if you didn't pay me to do this? Or is this me, doing it so I can get it off my to-do list? Because the second one is actually going to hinder your magnetism, right? And when we allow ourselves to explore the things that feel like all in for us, when we give ourselves permission to play in those playgrounds, we actually, ironically, release a lot of the resistance that we're encountering in other areas that currently have resistance. So, for example, I have encountered things before where I will be in resistance, say, to maybe, accounting or something, or doing a specific accounting task in my business. And it's definitely not a green. It's like filled with resistance. But the more I allow myself to write, or the more I allow myself to even just wander through the garden, follow my greens in this way, the less I actually procrastinate this task that once was like the end of the world for me, the less resistance it brings. So there's so many ripple effects that happens when we connect to our business in this way. I've been in this state the last 2 weeks. Resistance to what state, Louise? I don't even know what I was talking about. Resistance to marketing. I feel guilty about doing the things I love because I think it needs to be hard and lots of hard work. How do I overcome this? Yeah, Jen, great question. You have to teach yourself what it feels like to do the things you love doing without it being hard and lots of hard work. But it's something you teach yourself, meaning it's like any other skill you foster walking, right? The more you do it, it's not something that you do once and then all of a sudden you got it figured out. I think that belief is one of the hardest ones for me to detach from. And I've seen so many others struggle with that. It's a really prevalent one, a really common one. But the good news is I am living proof. There's so many other people who are living proof that you can disconnect from that belief and that you can make money doing what you love. But it starts by you teaching yourself that embodiment of it. So again, going back to the resistance you're feeling in your business, working hard, overwhelming yourself, you're asking yourself to reimagine that scenario. And maybe that looks like you taking an hour out each day. Maybe only once a week, if that's all you can stomach, you start in small ways. And the more you set that into motion with your physical actions, like this is my intention, more like less hard work, the more you celebrate the things coming into your business that didn't come through hard work to help compound that, the more you'll be supported in that journey. Like more opportunities, more connections with people that foster that kind of vision that you have for yourself will appear in your life. I love doing marketing relate stuff for my music and I'm totally in green, but then I think I need to do agency stuff to pay the bills. Yeah. So I would recommend that you start doing more of your marketing. I think you're saying marketing stuff for your music. So like chip an hour away, start taking that time for your marketing music, because that's where the big money will be, because that's where your greens are. That's where your flow is. And the more you give yourself permission to do that, you'll probably find you're not in as much resistance to your agency and you won't mind showing up in it, and or you'll attract solutions so that either you sell it or somebody comes in and helps you step away, right? There's like, again, a million ways that it could resolve itself, that resistance. But when we're like forcing ourselves and slaving ourselves to that resistance and we're like, I have to show up in this, and we have conditions where it's like, when I make money, then I'll be able to do the music stuff. It's not going to fucking go down well for us. Well, it's going to be an epic fucking story. Let's just say that. But stories have a lot of these, right? So choose your own adventure. Like your core is excited about music, go do that in as many ways as you possibly can for as long as it feels good until it doesn't, and then go do what feels good, right? Those greens is the value exchange. It's costing you more to hold that condition over yourself. That's for damn sure. Maybe in the short term, it makes more sense. Like the agency pays the bills, sacrifice myself to it. I'll figure out the music when I have more time. But that is a fallacy. You're setting the pace. More time is not going to come. The more money is not going to come. Like, you start now if that's what you want to do. Yeah. Is it scary? Fuck yeah. You just start in small ways. I'm not asking you to quit your agency, you know? If you feel compelled to do that and it feels like full fuck yeah, but you don't have to jump off a cliff. Like, you can start in small ways. And what I'm saying is, like, the moment you initiate the masculine in this way through your actions, you'll it's like you're sending a clear signal. So you'll get supported in that journey. Things will come into place, you know? But it's scary because we have to tell our little minds, our rational minds, listen, you know, you have the best intentions, but I'm going to choose my own way this time. I'm just not going to be happy. I have been experiencing a lot of resistance lately and have been experiencing a lot of chaos in different fields. However, I have started to nurture how I feel and doing things that put me in green. Yeah. Well, you're going through a massive shift, right? That's what's happening. You're like up leveling. You're literally in, like, if there was a status bar, a download bar, it's like, you know, almost downloaded, transformation. That's, yeah. And there's like so much confusion when you're in that place, and it can feel like you're lost for sure, or that you're doing something wrong. You're not. I promise you. And so we go back to the basics. My business is here to foster my greens. Okay, I'm feeling disconnected. I'm experiencing chaos. I have resistance. How do I honor my greens in this situation? That will be the fastest way to allow whatever metamorphosis is you're undergoing right now to take place. And, you know, it's like, even if even if it's so chaotic in the now and it feels so frustrating, the thing is, like, we always have the sovereignty to connect to gratitude. And I promise there will be a moment you look back with deep reverence and appreciation for the seeming chaos that you are facing right now, because chaos is also an illusion. I know I need to let go of an aspect of my business and let clients go. It's scary, but I know it will open up my capacity to receive new clients doing what I love. The fear has been stopping me from letting go. Yeah. We're going to go into some exercises in the next 2 weeks that are going to really help you touch the vibration of courage. Again, you don't have to let all your clients go at once. I mean, I would say if you're like in a deep, deep red of like depression or hopelessness and it's like a scary place, then sometimes, yes, we need to completely pattern interrupt, but you can do it in small ways and still create that massive shift that you're after. Yeah, courage. Yeah, we will be doing a lot of courage. I promise you, week 4 is gonna like push you guys. What are some more ways to send a clear signal? Yeah, so obviously actions and intentions, that's like the way that we create in this world, essentially. So aligning your actions to the actions of the version of yourself that already has that which you desire is a powerful way to send a clear signal. And another powerful way is to, as I mentioned briefly, like set intentions from the subconscious, which we know regulates and controls much of our thoughts, beliefs, and patterns and behaviors. So when we're setting intentions from a state of gnosis, which is essentially an altered state of consciousness, subconscious, which can be achieved hundreds of ways: flow, play, psychedelics, cold plunges, float tanks, meditation, sound healing, breath work, goes on and on. That's another very powerful way that I have found to set a clear signal. And everything that we're covering in brand alchemy are also pillars to create a strong signal. So our focus on growth and how we ourselves are experiencing and perceiving growth is a powerful way to send a signal out for more growth, right? Today, all in energy, how we're showing up behind what we're creating is a powerful way to enhance that signal. So play around with it this week. When you catch yourself like, you know, stepping away from something that has resistance, celebrate that. Give yourself a shoulder on the tap. That's a massive win. That was you fostering a deeper, safer, trusting relationship with your business. Like, hey, I need a break. Go do what you need to do to get in green. That's the kind of relationship we want to get to with our business, right? Where that is freedom. For you to have the reds and the greens. For you to have a business that allows you to be a fucking human. Wow, radical idea. That's freedom. So you start that now in small ways, and then it will be reflected back to you. You will cultivate that. But it's like a garden. We're planting these seeds, we're sowing these seeds, and at the beginning maybe we don't see much, and we're like, what is happening? What's going on with my signal? It's broken. I have resistance and chaos. It's all illusions. The seeds are growing. The spurts are coming through. Yeah, we will be going through so many conversations around courage, around your sales, your message, your own value. So next week, we're going to go into your value, like knowing your value to this world and standing so fucking confidently behind it, which also sends out a powerful signal. That one is a big one for magnetism, right? Because if you don't know your value, how are customers or leads going to know this, right? Just like any other partnership. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today. I deeply appreciate you all. I apologize for this costume again. I look forward to seeing your wins, your celebrations, your thoughts, your even just anything showing up for you. Share it in the group. This is honestly, my intention is to create a really nurturing like tribe, essentially, for these 8 weeks where you feel supported in your growth and inspired by others. And that starts, well, we're actually going to be talking about that. That starts by, you know, being vulnerable or allowing ourselves to be vulnerable with others. And we'll be working with mirroring techniques a lot more in the coming weeks. And you'll start to see how the way that we interact in any relationship, the way we show up in any relationship, affects how customers are showing up with us. So this is a great place for you to connect and to share your thoughts. There's no judgment here. So whatever comes up, share it in the group. Thank you so much. If you have a new ritual, share it in the group. If you have a variation, I'm so excited. And happy Halloween, everybody. Sending you so much love on this ghoulish day. We will see each other next week for week 3 of Brand Alchemy. See you guys. Bye.